Welcome to another episode of Legal Innovation and Technology webinar series. This is episode 24, and it's a very special one because it's the second episode during the Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which is the month of October. And it's especially very significant this time because we are actually celebrating 20 years of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. The first time it started in 2004, and now it's 2024, so it's been 20 years that and more nations have been adopting to cybersecurity, how to manage risks, how all these new technologies are giving rise to new risks and new challenges, and how we can and we should do to tackle them and not let technology take the better of us, and we can protect what's truly ours, whether it's information, data, or our lifestyle, basically, because everything is tracked, starting from when you wake up, when you are sleeping, when you're walking, which is your restaurant, which is your supermarket. So all these are somehow tracked. We live it in the digital space, and actually most of them are sold in the dark web, and that's how your profile is created, and people target you, and you will be surprised when you get some random calls and they say certain informations which will make you think, like, that it is somebody. It's not a spam, or it's not a fraud call, and it's a genuine call. But that's what they do. They study your profile. And we will talk about cybersecurity in 2024, what it means, and especially with the rise of AI powered attacks, which a lot of experts are saying it's becoming the new battlefield for businesses and our society. So, just a brief overview of the webinar today, so that we can all know what's coming in the next 40-50 minutes. Uh, AI powered cyber attacks are rapidly transforming the cybersecurity landscape, and it's becoming a big concern for the businesses, for the society. And in this special episode during the Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we are going to try and find out how we can reshape the AI driven threats in the digital security space, and what individuals, organizations, government must or can do to stay protected. We'll learn about the AI's dual role in both launching and defending against cyber attacks, and why cybersecurity is now in the front line for safeguarding our personal and professional digital life. So, the few topics that we're going to talk about is basically how AI is transforming cyber attacks, and also helping defend it in 2024, the impact of AI driven threats on the businesses and societies, and the strategies that we can adopt to that was already adopted in other territories or jurisdictions with regards to AI powered cyber threats, and what roles can think tanks, governments, organizations play in safeguarding our data. Welcome, everyone. Those of you joining us for the first time, I'm Barrister Tasnuva Shelley. I'm a technology lawyer. I'm very passionate about anything that has to do with law, technology, and innovation. And when we are talking about technology, innovation, cybersecurity, data privacy, and now AI, obviously comes in place. And in this episode, we have a very special guest, and I cannot wait for all of you to introduce my friend, and somebody I'm very close to, somebody I really look up to and I admire. It's Paulina Pazzala. She's a privacy attorney licensed in New York and Virginia. She has a robust background in privacy law, in compliance for the last 6-7 years. She's currently serving as a privacy manager. She played a very important role in the internal privacy team. She now, presents defense, addresses, detects how the potential risks with the use of AI, for particular organizations, and how the overarching AI governance and helps them to navigate these complexities in this ever evolving artificial intelligence landscape. And without further ado, I want all of you to welcome Paulina. Hi, Paulina. How are you? It is so great to see you. How are you today?
Hi, Tasnuva. Thanks for having me. I have been tracking everything that you're doing technology wise, and it's very impressive. So I look up to you. I'm very, very excited to talk about AI because this is something that I do work with almost every day. And I think almost every attorney or privacy professional is fully immersed in governance or maybe protecting your company or your clients from AI powered attacks.
Yeah, it's so true because of, this is such a new trending topic. I mean, to be honest, actually AI was there from the very big from a long time ago. Like, Siri, Alexa, Google Maps, these are all a form of tech AI technology. But I think the whole hype arose after ChatGPT came into was used last year, and that's when we started talking about artificial intelligence. I was first like I was like, it's been there for the last 10, 12 years. It's just that we didn't see it. Days pass by, we're seeing new trends, new ways that AI and technology can actually playing it both sides. They are actually being the attacker, and we are also using artificial intelligence to detect and defend us. Because it's a machine or versus human. There was a huge I remember there was a huge discussion about when the first computers came out. They're saying computers are going to replace lawyers. No, nobody's going to need them. And same thing happened
Look
after
at that.
ChatGPT. I know, right? And
Still
they're like,
here.
oh, uh, and very much in high demand, I must add, because it's such a niche area, and it's not for everyone. Only people who has that interest and can find a way to combine the regulations, the policies, the provisions with how the technology is being coded and what outcome is being generated, what input are being given. And intellectual property is one big aspect on that side, and narrative attacks on one side. We have seen that. I remember even back in the days, we used to see, like, these concerts or these NFL tickets are out, and in 3 minutes they're sold out. And we would be like, how is that even possible? And they were like all AI bots, like
Yes.
and then they're sold on other secondary platforms in double triple the price. And I'm talking about 2019. I remember when we were doing our LLM at George Mason Law School, and I attended actually one of the seminars that when I was working at a Federal Trade Commission, about how ticketing is always that a place has been that bots are being used, and regular people who are supposed to take advantage of this cannot do it because of these things. So but now that seems like a little problem.
This is a little problem, but I people. So I agree with you that AI is not something new. I think what changed in last 2 to 3 years is that it became widely available. So back in the day, you had to know about AI to go and do AI. Currently, everyone knows what ChatGPT is. Everyone knows how to
Yeah.
use Gen AI technologies. There is like bazillion things online that you can do with ChatGPT, with other open AI sources, but the barrier of entry just became much lower. There's no cost associated with using AI. And because of that, we see a rise of all of those AI powered things. The other thing that I see every day is that if you're marketing a product for a business nowadays and you don't have listed that's AI powered, you're like, there's like 95% of any sort of products that are out there right now. And however, I feel like the entry barrier just moved to be much more accessible for a larger amount of people. Back in a day, people that worked with AI were mostly researchers or people who were really good engineers or people who had to work with AI. Nowadays, a 13-year-old in the middle of nowhere can go and use AI. Most of our applications are AI powered. Our phones, computers, our cars, everything, our fridges, everything is interconnected. And I think because of that, there's this race of AI awareness and maybe AI curiosity as well. So I agree that being a technology lawyer, privacy, information security specialist, whatever, this is something not for people with a faint heart because you wake up and every day there is something new that's happening. And just to stay current and just to understand the new risks, the new fields that are developing, and just understanding new technologies, it takes a lot of work.
It does, because we obviously were not taught this back then when we were doing our LLM. And even now, there is no, I don't see there is a lot of LLM courses that are now merging law and technology. I think for me, the eye opener was attending one of the Codex conferences in Stanford, where I am seeing lawyers who did computer engineering for another 3 years so that they can code, because they were like, we are so frustrated, the engineers don't understand us and we don't understand them, so I've just decided to, like, do my own thing. So obviously I don't want to code, but I'm really looking forward to this combination of law and technology, which we see a rise in, like, every day. Even though, if I have to talk about from Bangladesh perspective, we are not there quite yet. A lot of reasons, because we don't have the basic regulatory frameworks, because our literacy rate is not that much, and we have very high internet penetration. It's because of the, everybody has a smartphone, that is true. A lot of people can now afford it thanks to China. Like, for less than for like 40-50 dollars, you get a cell phone. With our internet packages are so cheap that everybody has like a smartphone, and a lot of people are actually doing their businesses using a smartphone. Like, f-commerce is pretty big in Bangladesh, because you make a website, you have a Facebook page, you can sell your products. But then again, you're retaining your customer data, your product details, their transactional information. And however, like, it's just, if you're doing business from a Facebook page, just like a Facebook account, it can easily be hacked. So, what do you do during that time? And another fact is, I think, when I am ordering something, on a Facebook using page or a website, like, I am giving authorization or sharing my details or addresses on e-commerce platform to that particular company to provide me that with that product or services. However, most of the time, it seems, it has been seen that they are sharing it with another third party, like their distributor, their delivery courier company that they have partnership with or something, but they're not taking our consent. So we don't know where what's going and how it's going to be misused. um, there is a huge amount of spam text SMSs that's coming on, and California is one of the most progressive states. They actually ask you for your consent. And if there is an email, marketing email, that's coming to you frequently and you have not opened it, they will auto suggest that, do you want to continue with this, or you want to unsubscribe. So there are those options actually, which again AI is helping us detect, like, how many emails have you opened, how many have you not opened, which email address has, something that you were not interested in anymore. So they will auto suggest all this. So with this, of course, front. I mean, I feel like, it's also such a big term and a bit it has a bit of everything. I mean, cybersecurity systems are made to protect data breaches, to protect our data, to ensure our privacy, to also ensure that, even the AI technologies that we are using are not abused by bad actors. And everything that you are doing, you are, you know informing the other person when you are, you know giving input to the AI tool of something else, somebody else's information. So with that, I want to start, like, I know there's so much I want to talk about, but it's been seen that, there is a new trend and a new way of, new group of criminals, like the cyber criminals. And they were there, they would basically steal your, pin number, your bank details, your cell phone. And now I feel like that has taken another level due to the change artificial intelligence by the mass level. Like, you don't have to be a certain age, or you don't have to have uh, certain advanced device to use AI. You can download an app on your phone.
Yes.
I mean, just tell us a little bit on what exactly, we mean by AI in the general sense, and maybe also how, these the trend of these traditionally cyber criminals who would only probably do some hacking and steal your data. Now they are changing up and leveling up their game. So what's the trend? What's happening? Share some live cases or case studies that we can actually learn from.
Absolutely. As you said, we did have cyber criminals before. However, right now, with introduction of AI, all the classic methods of cyber attacks became much easier, more sophisticated, less expensive, and more available. So when back in the days, we would have people who would self-teach themselves how to do certain hacking or certain methods of phishing. Nowadays, you can just go into ChatGPT and it will teach you how to do certain things. There is much lower barrier of entry right now when it comes to people getting engaged with cyber crimes. And I think because of that, we see of very advanced social engineering attacks. Back in the day, social engineering attacks, they were based on a lot of manual work because you had to research a person, you had to see what they're doing, what's their position. There's a lot of information that's available. Like you can go on LinkedIn, you can go on Facebook, Instagram, all of that. But this back in the day, it required a legwork. You had to have someone going and scraping that web. Right now, you have applications available that will do web scraping on a person and will provide you with a whole reputational profile on you. And you never consented to that as a person, which is very scary. The other part of this advanced social engineering is that the phishing campaigns can be now automated. So you have a much broader audience that those phishing campaigns can attack. And you obviously know that the more people you will send it to, the higher chances that someone's going to click on a link, someone's going to call a phone call or whatsoever. So this became much more widespread and it gives more chances for mistake from a person standpoint, but also business standpoint. I actually just watched the other day, IBM did this experiment about crafting a phishing campaign. So they had their IBM engineers working on the phishing campaign, and they had AI model working on the phishing campaign. And what they came up with is that it takes only 5 prompts in 5 minutes to create a campaign nearly as successful as one generated by skilled engineers. And it would take over 16 hours for skilled engineers. That's crazy when you think about that. That's like the next level of advanced social engineering. And as I said, again, you don't have to be engineer now. If you have access to data, if you have access to widely available public information, if you have access to someone's email account, that's very easy to craft a phishing campaign that's going to align with a person's interest, that's going to be formatted in a way that's going to be very similar to the sender that you're trying to pretend to be. And I think with that, you also have the development of the deepfake technologies. Cyber criminals are using AI to create very convincing audio, very convincing video deepfakes for more sophisticated engineering attacks. And you can see, actually, I'm originally from Poland, and they use it in Poland to call elderly people of, like, let's say my grandma. They would call my grandma and tell her that I really need money. I am overseas, and she has to send it right away. So they have a very sophisticated targeting mechanism. They know when they're, let's say, like part of family leaves, like overseas or whatsoever. And they know how to exploit that on the very large scale. And that's just one part of the whole AI cybercrime enterprise. You also have right now enhanced password cracking. Machine learning algorithms can predict likely passwords based on the patterns, and they just make those attacks much more efficient. So someone can just go and scrape the web and see what are you interested in, and with the power of AI, just by giving them the few pieces of information, it's able to give you such a refined answer.
This is just the beginning. There's a lot more coming, and I mean, I do keep a watch out for all these kind of cyber attacks that's happening globally. I mean, in Bangladesh, it's been happening. A lot of, like I said, a lot of the reasons are because we probably don't have matured, cybersecurity system inbuilt, which is why it's easier for hackers to hack into our system. And like I said, because of the fact that we, as, like, regular citizens, we also don't know how to protect our basic, like Facebook. There are some privacy settings most of us don't know. I mean, I actually learned. And before, if you remember, back in 2018, 17, we would be like asking for Wi-Fi. What's the Wi-Fi password? And now I carry my internet modem. I was like, no way on hell am I using Wi-Fi unless I'm like really desperate, like in airports, in between transits. I mean, nowadays when I travel, the first thing I do when I land is I get a local SIM, because we understand the risk. Like, and we have also seen how your home Wi-Fi, and you connect that with your work laptop, and if you have a cameras enabled in your at your home, which is again connected with your home Wi-Fi, and you do all your banking transactions again through your home Wi-Fi. If somebody can get into that land, I mean, they can actually get access if they have that intention. It's been possible. And like I said, I've seen, like, I was actually, there was a recent couple months ago. So this young student, is quite popular here because of the work he's doing, and he didn't even realize for days that he's quite, like, he has like millions of followers and whatnot. So his profile got hacked, and he wasn't even aware of it. So and the fake account was sending people messages and asking for money, like, if you give me money, I will give you, that board examinations question paper, and some, like, inappropriate moves to some girls and women. And there were like, later on, when obviously he took the money, nowadays it's very easy. Oh, here's my cell phone number, like, we have some local financial services. like PayPal or something, like Venmo and all that. So we can send money locally in the, like, even internationally nowadays, in seconds. And a lot of them then started messaging to the real person whose account got hacked, saying, like, you took money from me. Why aren't you giving me? Why are you ignoring me? That they're like, what? When did I give you? When did I ask for money? When did I say all the serious criminal activities that they've been engaging and using another name? And of course, when we came to know about it, we got the law enforcement and the regulatory bodies engaged in this. And we found out, like, the person behind this who was responsible does not have three masters or as a high profile job or any certified, uh, you know, technical guy. He was somebody who dropped out of school after grade 5. After grade 5, there was no other education, but he was so tech savvy that he was able to actually fool people and do these kind of things. And now with AI, this is becoming more and more easier. What I want to hear from you is, which we said during the overview, we uh, we definitely agree that cyber criminals are now leveraging AI. Uh, like, they are using AI tools. We just discussed that, like, for phishing, social engineering, vulnerability detection, malware development. But there is also a saying that it's a double-edged sword. It's a game changer for cyber criminals, because it can protect and it can detect. So if we don't have a proper defense mechanism, we could be losing out at the end. And especially, it will have a huge impact on the businesses, because honestly, at that point in time, when you are losing data, because of an attack that happened, using an AI tool, at that point in time, you cannot really assess your damages. And there are so many steps to these damages which we are not being able to identify or quantify. um, like, reputational costs, like, my website got hacked, and all my customers who are going to that website is not seeing my products anymore, they're seeing something else. And how, I'm not even sure how many customers I'm losing, whether they'll be coming back to my site again. How much value it's devaluing me in terms of my goodwill and reputation, how I will be able to gain the customer's trust. So a lot of these things make it very difficult for businesses, to lose out like overnight. They just have to shut down. And on top of it, let's not forget it, there are lawyers. We will actually be sending them, like, tons of litigation on them, because you had a weak cybersecurity system, it was not able to detect that tool. So our datas, our informations were leaked. And basically, at the end, those organizations end up fighting, and end up shutting down their business. So what are the latest tools you said, talked about, the tools that's being used on, you know by the cyber criminals? So why and how are the businesses using AI as a defense mechanism, you think?
I think AI is a great technology. However, as you said, it is being used by good and bad actors. For businesses, I think the key starting point should be general education as it comes to the basic principles of information security and privacy. You have to work educating your employees on AI risks, but you also have to enable them to use it, because we do incorporate certain AI application into the workforce, that enables people to use the technology in a way that matches the threat. So, from my perspective, what I think is the most effective tool is just a safe AI tool for internal company use that you can give to your employees for them to play with. Let them explore the ideas, let them see what they can do. As you said, AI is this amazing technology, but it can be used by both good and bad actors. And I think we can only fight a threat that's related to AI if we understand the technology, if we know how to use it. So I think the first step for every business, and not only business and individual, is being educated about what AI is, being educated about very simple information security and data privacy principles. Because if you do have those, if you have organizational awareness of those things, then it's much easier to detect attacks that are AI powered. And obviously, there are so many different vendors that you can use for the advanced threat detection, which is great because now you have tools that are continuously scanning your networks and are able to not only pick the red flags that you set for them, but also patterns. Those are interconnected tools. So let's say company A, B, and C uses the same tool for their network scanning, that tool is going to improve based on the feedback, meaning that the most advanced AI related threats would be able to be picked up much easier based on that AI technology. Um, I always say that if you employ very basic privacy principles, like for example, data minimization, like if you don't store a lot of data in your company, even if someone breaks into your network, they're not able to steal it. As you said, data breaches are creating gigantic reputational risk. Like those are the things that can end the brand. Because you can tell in US we had gigantic Marriott breach, we had Experian. It took them years to rebuild customer trust based on that. So I think if you come from the place of having pretty good policies, procedures, and controls, you have a very high engagement from the employee side. You do embrace AI technology and you do create space for people to actually use AI technology, you're all set. You're going to be fine. And obviously, we have to evolve as the technology evolves and as cyber criminals become more skilled in certain things. But we do have tools available. We do have policies, procedures, and controls that have been around for like years. So I am optimistic.
We have always been this amazing connection between us. I also actually think AI. I'm a big fan. Uh, you know, on the other side, defense side, it helps with threat detection. It simplifies analyzing big chunks of data in seconds. It automates incident reports. Like if the same kind of incident is happening, it will auto generate your report. It can prevent, um, predict, what are the certain typical risks, just like you said. One tool is being, if it's being used by other networks for another technology, and we can use that information to see how to improve this technology. And it is so fascinating that attackers and bad actors are using AI to launch attacks, and defenders are using AI to stop them. So it's AI versus AI. So it's pretty interesting, and I am keeping a close watch on this internationally, because we have seen the EU. The EU Act has has passed, and it became effective from August, even though they've given few months for businesses to do an internal assessment on what are their vulnerabilities, what are their risks, to measure it, and then another few months to basically try to come up with ways to mitigate those risks. They're not just jumping on and going penalizing companies for having really poor, or maybe not strong cybersecurity systems in place. And this has actually impacted, like uh, the real world scenario for businesses, for the society, and even for the legal professionals, Paulina. I think you will also know that the California bar is like one of the first bar in the US that kind of had a guideline for lawyers to use AI when giving legal professional advice. And what they've done is they've kind of linked it with the code of ethics. And if it's for saving time, if it saves if you're saving time, so your billable hours is going to be much less. You will need your paralegal or research associate much less hours. So overall the client is going to benefit, you know with low costs. So why not? And of course, it's also been mentioned in the State Bar of California's guideline, which are in terms of using AI by the licensed attorneys in California State, that you should always take consent from the client. That will you be okay if we use AI tools? But of course, it will not be just a copy paste. It will be adjusted and customized to the portion that's relevant for your particular matter. And if the client agrees, the attorney is allowed to use AI. And it has actually, discovery has become so much easier because of AI tools, like documentation, like in we can do get templates, we can have a draft, there are devices, AI tools that can summarize big documents, like make a tabular plan as you would want it. I mean, the possibilities are endless. And it has been extremely exciting, and also I would say a bit uncertain, because honestly I don't think we have even hit the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more coming. And which is why I call it, like the frontier technologies, because technology is changing. What's new and, like very cool now becomes absolutely redundant in 6 months time. So if you're in this space, if you're not updated, you're going to be left behind. So I think so the businesses need to be updated. I think the lawyers, the technology lawyers in particular, which is like a new category of specialist lawyers, that they also need to kind of be updated with the what are the challenges. Having this webinar, we're having this chat in the real time live. uh, that can happen too. I mean, to use an AI tool and to be a cyber criminal, we don't even need to be in the same jurisdiction. And if you're not in the same jurisdiction, it gets more difficult for the law enforcement to catch that person. So even though there was a bad actor, and there was a breach, there was manipulation of data in many forms, but it was done by somebody who doesn't even live here, miles away. So how, there are, like I said, there are some procedural challenges at this point. It takes longer. And one thing I've seen is that women and children are now being particularly targeted there, because they're the most vulnerable. um, Children are, because of the COVID, we went on online schooling, and every child almost has their own device. It's the Gen Z era. So so they're playing live games, Melina, with somebody we don't know, whether it's the gender, we don't know, whether they're the same age, we don't know. And there has been scams, like love scams, uh, using technology, and then starting to build a relationship, and then these women are being trafficked somewhere. You're taking financial advantage of building that relationship. And by the time you came to know about it, too late. So we have to, I believe, we kind of have to, have a real world impact about these AI threats. I think by making people more and more aware, so that it is there at their in the back of their mind, before, like, think before you click on a link that came from an unknown email. And these people are so smart, like, they will change, like, Bank of America, they'll probably miss one A, or instead of C they will use a K. And all of a sudden it gets really, we just brush up, because they know from where you shop, where you do grocery. Like, Giants, they're going to send you a free offer from Giants, and you click on it, and they just took all your information that was in your device, and we don't know where it's going to happen. So with all this uncertainties, and we can understand, the consequences, consequences are gonna fall on the businesses, in the society at large, and individuals, like, who use social media platforms to be connected, and to have their way of expressing themselves. So would you kind of give us a little bit on how each of these can be impacted by AI threats, like the businesses, society, individuals, and what can they do at this point?
Absolutely. And I agree with everything that you said. Thing that I will add that from my experience, there's only three groups of people: people who love AI technology and run towards it, people who hate it, run away from it, and people who don't know what AI is. So you've got three groups. And I totally understand that. Like, for example, my parents, like, they're not tech savvy. Like, they don't understand what AI is. And I don't think they have a need to be fully schooled about the like technological details of AI. I think for people who are escaping or trying to run away from AI, they're scared that their jobs will be replaced with AI. That's like one of the most common arguments that you hear. Like, AI is going to take my job. I'm just going to train AI, which I think that really needs to be addressed from a company standpoint. I am a firm believer that AI is the enabler. Like, for me to be able to delegate certain mundane tasks into AI, it gives me so much more space to innovate, to think about the new use cases. I don't see a lot of jobs being replaced by AI. AI is advanced, but we're not there yet. So I think if you're choosing to run away from AI, you're doing yourself a disservice, because if you don't learn and you don't adapt, you're going to get lost somewhere in the way. So I think the first thing that businesses should do from that standpoint is to encourage their workforce to actually engage with AI. Don't paint it as an agent that's coming that's going to replace someone. Rather, paint it in a way of saying, look, you can automate all of those tasks that you don't really enjoy in your job, and you're going to have so much more time to do the things that are very innovative, things that are going to help you get higher in your career path, or like advance to a new career. So I think that's number one thing. Definitely try to encourage people to become versed in AI, and this way they also become versed in AI risk. For US based companies, the minimum requirement based on almost all of the contracts is to have annual privacy and security training. I think in the future, we are also looking at AI training. A lot of companies already do AI trainings for their workforce, but they're not mandated. And to talk about threats for businesses, individuals, and society, I think you covered most of it. For businesses, there's definitely a big reputational threat when it comes to the damages that can be caused by, let's say, using unvetted vendor for AI operations, or using your client data in a way that's not supposed to be used. We have so many great AI enabled technologies that allow you to choose to not share that data with a vendor. And from an attorney standpoint, that's great, because if you get consent from your client to use certain information, I would say that as a precaution, as a privacy attorney, I would never put any sort of PII into AI tool. I just, that's me. I just wouldn't do it. However, there are, certain safeguards in place that by using certain good vendors, you're totally able to automate your whole process. You're able to have so much more time for other clients that need help. And also, because you're using AI tools and you're using all of those privacy and information security principles that are very important, like data minimization, you're able to guard your business better, meaning that you may minimize the reputational risks by actually engaging with AI. So I took your question and I flipped it from detriments to the advantages.
What about AI? Like I said, it plays both parts. It can so it depends on your intention, on how you want to use the AI. Is it AI I see webinars, AI for good, ethical AI governance. So it really depends on on your intention with the AI tool, what you want to make out of it. I just want to share this recent report, which was mind-boggling, and it was basically Microsoft's report. It is their latest digital defense report, which revealed that customers were confronted with 600 million cyber attacks per day. And I don't know how it is possible by only using humans, to deal with 600 million cyber attacks in 24 hours. How much manpower? I mean, managing this whole thing is gonna be like, a nightmare. But this kind of data should not scare us, but should encourage us more, I feel like, because there is no way to solve this kind of, large volume of work without AI tools. It's just simple. That's the most effective
Absolutely.
way.
And the other thing is because we have sophisticated AI tools that help us fighting those cyber criminals, sophisticated scanning tools, we have very sophisticated people who would do that manual future of being prepared for those AI powered attacks.
No, I think we are very much aligned, and it's just, I believe it is going to happen, but it's just a matter of time.
Yes,
And in terms of, even if I compare, United States, California has always been the most progressive one. You know why? Because the Silicon Valley hub, it's where the the tech giants are headquartered and based. I lived there. You guys all were like, what? I mean, so it was an amazing journey for me, and I think my engagement and my attachment with Google is what kind of gave me this, this interest in me, that how can a big company like this, work without any paper? How is it possible? And that kind of made me to, think back and look at it, how Bangladesh, even though geographically it's a very small country, but population wise it's huge. And how we are so behind in terms of, securing cyber systems, and awareness, regulations, social media regulations, and just, basic safety. I don't, like I said, our parents are not supposed to know this. They don't even know where how to change your settings, or when there is a, a button of a light burning saying you have to update your software. We sometimes don't do it, but the fact that it's so important. And one thing was, of buying pirated softwares, which a lot of people did, buying original, softwares and licenses are so expensive. We would buy pirated license and softwares as a cheaper option. That was also probably because we didn't know how it could damage us later on. But now we should be aware of those things. We should also be aware of the risks it comes with when you're using public wi-fi. And like, even if you have to use it, please don't log into your bank account or confidential information. And how also, like, there are so many, because you mentioned, I remember, like, because of deep fake, your images are being manipulated. You are being portrayed to be in a certain place at a certain time when you were actually not there. And with the use of bots, it's been like, it went viral. um, in a particular post has been shared so many times that, when you see it, you tend to kind of believe it. Oh, it had so many likes and shares, that means it must be true. But it is not. It was all a planned tactic to kind of change the narrative of that story. I recently saw one: Eiffel Tower is on fire. There was there's actually a video on this, that Eiffel Tower is on fire, and like lots of shares, comments, views. But it was completely a fake, post, a, completely animated with the use of AI and AI bots. How they did this. So we don't have much time, but I wanna, like I said, I can go on talking on about, for much
Same.
long, and I think we will. I think we will, because it's like I said, it's so many uncertainties is what makes it interesting. So, if you could, maybe we could both come up with one each. Like, what would, we understand that, again, sometimes the businesses, if you are actually involved with a lot of data, like, even if you're not dealing with data, but you work in an industry which is heavily regulated, and you have a lot of information which are confidential, uh, and you need to invest your time and money on protecting that. And I also feel like, I don't want to be blaming the businesses or the government for having lack of policies. I think I also need to aware myself about what I can do to protect myself from these cyber criminals, AI driven threats. um, I have heard, I actually saw a video where one of my friends shared, saying, like, how we post live videos of our children with their voices, because at a very young age they're so cute. So AI can also, adapt your voice. So, these parents are getting threat calls, and the AI is imitating that child's voice, which you probably uploaded on your social media at some point. And they're trying to convince you that, oh, I have your child with me, you have to give me money. The child is probably in school, and the parents panic. They start to believe it. And, you know, when we are in distress, we are humans, we panic, and it makes us do a lot of things. And because of this gray area also, like I said, there are not particularly strict regulations that will put them in place. They are taking advantage of this. And but if you have to kind of sum up some strategies that everyone should be aware of in 2024, what would they be?
So I would say number one is something us as lawyers have been taught from the very first day in class, which is check your sources. Always check your sources. If you see information or a video, as you just described, that seems oddly very sparking emotion situation, please double check. Check other sources. If you see a political news, which is very common now in the US during election year, that makes you go, oh, go and check. If there's no other sources reporting on it, you're not first to know. It just means that it has been probably engineered and crafted for you or to spark some sort of reaction in other people. Um, Number two thing for me personally is trying to minimize the things that you share. Let's say when I go to a doctor in US and they're asking for my social security number, I know that they don't need it. So I don't leave my social security number. especially if I go to a doctor's office and they're still using like a Yahoo email address. There's no chance in the world that I'm leaving you my social security number. If you go to pick up your online order and they're asking you to show your ID, just show your ID. Don't let them scan your ID. They don't need to scan your ID. They're just confirming your information. That's all. And, as businesses in general, again, awareness, awareness, awareness. If people are aware of advanced phishing attempts, if we are educating them, if we're crafting the phishing campaigns by our companies that are very sophisticated and make people realize, oh, so this is not email from the CEO, that makes them more aware. And if people are aware that this is going on, they're going to be able to react differently. So just stay aware. Obviously, we're living in the digital world. Like everyone wants to share something online, and that's totally fine as long as you understand the risks of that.
All great advice, and I really agree with you. But I think some of the practical, like basic ones, like back doing having data encryption tools,
Yes.
backing up, do regular backups, because even if there's an attack, you at least have backups. It's not gone forever. Then updating your security softwares,
Yes.
and having basically um, what you said, a secure browsing habit. One thing that I was telling everybody at my work, that we need to basically have digital dignity whenever we are
Love
posting
that.
something. Yeah, digital dignity is something that we need to have inbuilt in our culture, in our way of life, which basically means that you should respect what other people share on social media, or anywhere in any public platform, and you should also respect yourself. You should, before posting something, you should think twice, like it will stay there forever, leave a digital footprint forever. Am I going to be embarrassed about this later on or not? So things like that is, I think, a basic mindset change is something that should actually help the most. And I absolutely agree with you. During elections time, we have seen that. uh, Actually, 2024 is the year of elections.
Yes, absolutely. Like
So
I see that influence, for me, since I am from Poland, I see that in Europe and I see it in here and I see how differently it is crafted. And it's really crazy to see because you see two different social engineering techniques that are crafted towards people in one country versus other country. And that's crazy. Again, I think, maybe someone, like everyone has to have a mini law school course so they understand the value of just checking your sources. It's as simple as that. Like when we were working on our projects in law school, we would never give someone like assignment if we didn't triple check it.
yeah.
And we did have AI back then. We weren't using AI to do our citation. We're sitting there with like a blue book doing
No, I
citation.
know. We had this huge blue book all marked,
I
and
have it.
you had these fancy colored post-it notes and markers. You made it look so pretty that you wanted to go back to that blue book. Uh, you were so right, Paulina, and I think it is also time uh, that we start talking about it. uh, talk about this with everybody, make it a regular habit, because the more we talk about it, the more we understand it. And of course, it's new. A lot of people are reluctant to change. They're happy the way they've been doing or working last 50 years. They don't want to change or learn something new now. But it is also true, there is no limit to learning. You can learn a new skill at any time, at any age. What we both agreed is, like, AI is not going to take your job, but it will probably require you to learn a new skill to be better at your job.
Absolutely.
So that's the call of the hour. Basically, you need to have these skills, critical thinking skills, which means also that you check what you're reading. Don't just click and share. i
Yes.
have seen a lot of political parties winning elections due to social media campaigns.
Yes.
And of course we will use social media campaigns. There's so many benefits to it. It's easy reach, it's low in costs, it's easier, direct connection and communication with the voter and the candidate. So these are all positive things, but also we also kind of be aware. Like I said, we need to put our critical thinking hat and not just believe everything we see online. We need to use our judgment, and do a bit of fact finding. But I want to slightly add that as a reader, I don't have access that much to verify a particular information. My access is probably my close family and few friends. Hey, did you see this? Is it true? What do you think? I'll probably ask their opinion, but I actually don't have access to find out the sources. But I really strongly feel that these platforms, who are these social media platforms or any other platforms where these kind of news are being disseminated, I think they have a bigger role to play. Uh, because I feel like they have more access to verify whether certain information is true or not. And if somebody does post it, it is your responsibility to remove that post from your platform, because it talks a lot about, what kind of a company you are, what kind of practices you, you allow in your business, and what you ignore, what you don't ignore, and how you actually feel about you know sharing disinformation, misinformation, and creating panic. People panic. um
Absolutely. And I agree there is a very thin line between content moderation and restricting free speech. And I don't think it's actually, I think we're being intimidated by certain things. I personally, when I use large language models for research or things like that, let's say you use Perplexity or you use Copilot, I make a habit out of for always asking for the sources. And this way you can always evaluate the information that you're getting. Don't just ask a question, but also ask for a reference. This way, if you're learning about something, you're learning something from like IBM and not someone's blog post from 2009, right?
some
So,
YouTuber.
yeah. And like it's great because we have this technology now and you don't have to go and like keep looking and googling and searching for that. You have AI. Like it's going to help you with creating like citations. So I am like, again, I really think that what we're seeing, it's very exciting times for us. I think that learning more is very exciting. I know it can be draining since we have so many different technologies, but the more we learn, the more we adapt and the more prepped we are for the threats that are coming.
Exactly. And the sooner you start, and the better you're gonna get, to manage these threats and these challenges. And one thing, that's probably going to be the last thing we talk about, was basically, like I said, from an organizational point of view, of course, I think we need to work on collaboration and cooperation, especially because I said that, cyber crimes, these threats and breaches does not mean that, both the parties are in the same jurisdictions. So international cooperation is going to be play a big role in this. And the regulations and legislations needs to be in place, and they should also be very flexible, because of frontier technologies are changing. If we take 6 months to amend one line in a law or a regulation, I mean, all everything is gonna we're gonna lose the momentum. So and of course, which we are trying to do right now, create public awareness initiatives so that we talk about it more, both in government and private organizations. But and I actually published this writing in a journal where I was talking about artificial intelligence and academic integrity, AI versus AI, because a lot of not I did that research. Not all universities or educational institutions have a policy regarding use of AI. So you know how we're when we were in our law school and doing our project, we were following the blue book. So now a lot of students are just using these tools to do their projects, write their papers, and actually there is a group of people who are actually concerned if the next generation is actually learning something or just having an easy way out, because we also, there's it's a process. So happy to see that. And I think we can wrap up by saying, like, AI is transforming cybersecurity. It's making attacks more sophisticated. You know, it's not that easy to detect, like, in plain eye, in a plain human eyes. But it's also offering powerful defense mechanisms, which we need to kind of take advantage of, and how the impact is far-reaching, affecting businesses, society, individuals alike, and how it requires a proactive approach.
Yes.
Uh, it has to be proactive. I mean, once it's done, there's really, I mean, if we talk about, legal cases, like, once there's a breach, we go file a case. But here, I think we are better suited when we are proactive. We stop it from happening, not be reactive, which we have been told for, other scenarios. You know, so that is, I think, one of those big changes. And basically educate people from a young age. It should be part of, like, primary education. And there should be, like I said, a good collaborative effort between the government, think tanks, and individuals, so that we're agile and we are not behind to adopt with the new technologies and the frontier technologies that's going to be coming, because this is not it. AI, ChatGPT just came, Gemini, and Dart, and all this. There are like so many right now. So we kind of need to be updated with all this. Yes, it is not for everyone. There are experts. It is. We are not asking all the businesses, have your own team. You can engage a consultant for within a time frame. You can engage with by outsourcing the service. But it is a very important investment that you can make for the future of your company business.
Spending money on information security and privacy, it's not something that a lot of businesses wants to do because it doesn't give you immediate reward. Your reward is that you're not getting breached. So it's not really reward, right? um,
Pink, right?
Absolutely. And as you said, like when something happens in your company, and it doesn't matter whether this is AI powered attack or regular attack, they're going to ask you about the security measures that you implemented in your company. They're going to ask you about the risks that you took. And they're going to ask you to explain those things. And if you're a US based company, I don't think you want to be questioned by FTC. And Tasnuva, you would know the best. Like they're very tough interrogators. So
Yes.
although they're very nice people, it's probably not the relationship that you want to have with them.
Yeah, it's not a good idea to be on their watch list, or in any of their list. Let's just
Yes.
say that, in any of their list. But I have seen some bold moves, I think, which is what makes Federal Trade Commission one of the highly effective federal agency, which actually has it has its own consumer protection wing. It works with the Department of Justice. It works with the merger and acquisition. It works on the public law sector. So it's the antitrust impact of this. So I mean, like I said, and they are actually the ones who's challenging these big techs, and bringing them, asking them to justify what measures did you take. Like we have seen Mark Zuckerberg going on explaining, how he
Yeah.
was protecting it, and he actually had to sign that, he will personally sign uh, the compliance document and submit
Yes.
it every 3 months or 6 months, that we have checked and it's in order now. It's not a one time thing, it's something that you need to do on a regular basis. You need to check, because we don't know when or how your system is going to be hacked or breached, or compromised, say. And there are many tools. We don't have time to go into that, like blockchain's
Next
impact.
time.
Yeah. But it's a, like I said, it's an ocean out there, and we have just getting our legs warmed. We have not
Yeah.
even gone into the deep sea yet. So a lot more coming. We need to be prepared. We
Yes.
need to train and have resources in
Yes.
place. So that's like a proactive approach. Have a awareness sessions with your employees, or like I said, have a chat. Like I had a chat with my son about, like, which YouTube channels are you watching, what games are you playing, who are these people that you're playing with, do you know everyone, is there somebody unknown. And, like, I obviously monitor. He has a child's account which is parental control, so I actually can see all that, but I'm not sure if a lot of mothers even know how to do that. So these are basic awareness, but nobody talks about it, nobody teaches them. So I with this, I actually want to kind of end our session. But I just want to share with you, because we started off saying, this October month is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and this year's theme was to secure our world. And they actually focused on four things which are so basic, and I was like, oh my god, after 20 years we are going back to basics.
Yeah.
You would agree with me that actually a lot of people don't do that. They use, they don't use strong password, they use the same password for everything. So number one tip to stay safe and secure online is basically use strong passwords and a
Absolutely.
password manager if needed. Update your software, guys. Please update your software, it's very important. And if you recognize a phishing email, a fake websites, or a message, don't just recognize and delete it. You should
Report
also
that.
report it. Yes, only then it will have an impact. We can block them. Please turn on multi-factor authentication, because honestly we have multiple devices now, one for home, one for work, one for personal use, there's tabs, there are devices and whatnot. So let's keep turn on multi-factor authentication, so that if you're logging in from one device, you are getting notified and you will know if that was you or not. And which I all one and one other thing was something that I already mentioned, that we should back up our data uh, regularly. I cannot emphasize on this enough. Don't use public Wi-Fi without a VPN, and do not ignore security warnings. And one thing with I think during the student age, I would probably have done that, uh, using pirated software. I think with that, we talked. I don't know how time flew by. I felt like we're not even halfway done, but we'll definitely catch up, and we'll definitely meet up very soon. And I wish you all the best. And thank you for sharing such great insights. It's
Thank you so much,
a
Tasnuva.
pleasure.
I just want to say that I always look up to you and I always check your LinkedIn whenever you're sharing something interesting about technology, which is almost every day. So I really appreciate the job that you're doing because you're doing the hard part of the job of educating people. And I think that's great.
You are contributing a lot to that, towards that, and I think it is our job. I remember a lot of you asked me, like, who lives California and goes back to Bangladesh, but I'm like, who, why anybody else who else better than me to come back and share my learnings and experience here, because there's a huge gap.
Absolutely.
There's a huge gap, and there's so much to do. So here's hoping for a better future, a cyber secure future. It is each and everybody's responsibility to secure our world, because our digital world is connected. It's not, again, limited to jurisdictions anymore. We are all connected, so we have to secure our world together. So thank you, Paulina. Keep doing, keep shining, and let's keep in touch. And let's keep on learning and enhancing skills, because we want to be at the forefront.
Exactly. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Paulina. Okay, thank you, everyone. Good night.